Hello and welcome to Block Tornado. How are you today? And today we're gonna talk about orbs and my experience with orbs. And before we go on, we have to keep in mind all these victims of coronavirus that are currently suffering from this awful situation, which is spreading globally, and it's really taking a toll on us. And hopefully the vaccine is coming our way sooner than later, but from what I'm hearing, it could be a year or so before we even get the vaccine. So I encourage you to protect yourself the best you can. Try to get a respirator mask as soon as possible. It's already difficult to get any of that stuff right now, and you trying to get one will be almost impossible. But if you can still get a mask somehow, that could actually save your life. But the only thing you can do currently is stay away from people if you don't have a mask, and from large crowds of people, because really you might have a virus that you could have contracted to other people. You might not even know you have it. You will have a simple cough that will not affect you in any kind of way because of your immune system is good. But wait a minute, this could easily spread to children and elderly people, and they will suffer from this in somewhat even fatal way, okay, as you already know. So all you can do, if your immune system is good, try to stay away from people who are weaker as far as their immune system is concerned, like I just mentioned. And it could save a lot of lives, matter of fact, because once this virus is out in the open, it's really no way of tracking it down as much as we would like to think we can track it down, but it's next to impossible. So anyways, please stay with me a little bit longer so we can talk about these orbs and maybe a little bit about God as well on top of that. So yeah, let's start, and we're starting right now. Orbs. Well, in my situation, when I see orbs, a lot of people do see orbs, okay? It's not like I'm anything special. These orbs are quite common, and they're becoming more and more common as we go. And orbs were with us throughout our evolution, except technology wasn't there to capture some of this phenomena. But it was captured in paintings. We find a lot of paintings with spherical objects, okay? They were simply etched in stone or drawn in stone, whatever. But some of that evidence, as you probably know from Prometheus movie, during the briefing hours, they showed these paintings across the world in caves, having some sort of spherical objects in them. So, that is somewhat of a truth. But we have to assume that those spheres were around throughout our evolution. Question is, were they occupants of this planet? Have they come with us, whoever sent us here on Earth, is the question. So, the reason I like to bring it up simply because it's something unusual, and it just doesn't add up as far as our reality goes, our ways of things, okay? Some of us must have seen this when we were kids, and some of us seen this later as adults. But those who have seen this as a kids, it will stay in them for a long time, until later on, as we become adults, we kind of start to think about it, what really happened. And we're starting to look for a truth, okay? And you might even come here because of that, trying to get some information on this. Simply, I don't have any information on what these things are. All I can tell you, I've seen what I've seen. Probably the most common pattern of lights ever, because it was a simple red-orange glowing light above the hill, and then two more came out on each side, okay? And this middle light still remained the same shape, even though it's split into two. So now you know what kind of technology this is that simply can replicate itself without losing its mass from the source where it originated from. So those two orbs are the same size, as a matter of fact, as the middle orb. And color that they were omitting was orange, which I talked about this in the Yatlo Pass in UFO Orbs Decoded, that these orbs could have been radioactive, because there was some evidence regarding those hikers who died perhaps from these orbs, which I think that's what happened, and the reason I call it Decoded. There was some radiation present in some of these people's clothing. At least one or two people had radiation in the clothes. So basically, that could give us a little bit of clue of what might have happened. Not just that, but their skin turned orange. and something of a presence of a strong force was present that's equivalent to a car, okay, a car crash. So I really think, for many reasons, why that Diatlopast story was decoded by me by Block Tornado, simply because the overwhelming amount of evidence and the fact that orbs were present and they documenting this situation themselves. And Lev Ivanov, who was one of the authorities on the site at the time, he explains that perhaps these orbs could have been behind the situation. And as a matter of fact, they didn't release the story until later on, okay? 2 weeks passed by, or even more than that, before the story got released into the public. I'm not exactly sure on how long, but it wasn't right away. So we really don't know if they actually confiscate something that could have been revealing the truth here, some sort of extraterrestrial nature. So therefore we will never know, because of course Russian government confiscate all that information. But there is a documentary on that. Someone talks about this, how this story got into the public later on. It didn't get released right away, and that's cause for suspicion, my friends, okay? However, one of the victims, Dubliana, I believe, one of the ladies was simply dropped face forward onto the ground, which I talk about what could be the real reason behind this. We could have a first case of human mutilation in our hands, okay, first reported case, because her tongue and her eyes were missing. Now you know that cattle mutilation, when it happens, it has missing tongue and cut off eyes, and sexual or reproductive organs as well are gone. So in her case, the same thing happened. Her tongue and eyes were missing, okay? So, and she was also dropped face forward. As you know, a lot of cattle is dropped face forward, as if these UFOs who picked them up, dropped them, you know, down on their face. Because of the radiation, because of the orbs being present there, because of Lev Ivanov talking about this, and some radiation present in clothes, like I said, and tongues and eye missing, you have to connect the dots here, and it's not that hard to do that, okay? That's why the Diatlopast story was an easy thing for me. But to bridge this whole thing situation all together, and the reason I'm talking about this again, because I'm talking about the orbs today, and they could potentially cause some sort of a security issue as far as the world is concerned itself, okay? And I'm sure the US military right now is on their ass all the time. They're monitoring these things every day, every moment of the day, to understand what's going on. If the NASA is aware of these things because they keep on flying around their International Space Station, you know, they're familiar with these things, but they say themselves, they've seen these things, many of these things over the years, and they still don't know what they are. But could they be some sort of a threat to us? Even though I wouldn't want to think that, but we have to keep our eyes open, because that's the job of man, right? So I guarantee you right now, behind the closed doors, as far as the military is concerned, they keep track of these things big time, and they probably keeping eyes on Dr. Stephen Greer as well, of course, because he's trying to make a communication with his aliens. And don't believe that Stephen Greer is on its own. They're doing whatever he wants to do. No, he's attached to the government, trust me. And like I said, he could have been a puppet, nothing more, because really all the information that you think that goes to him, whatever he learns from these extraterrestrials, goes into his pocket, but it doesn't. It goes to the US military, because they have the money and they have the power, of course, to do whatever they want. But because security is involved here, that's the reason why some of this information that Dr. Greer is collecting really goes to their pocket. And don't kid yourself, the same with MUFON, okay? A lot of these organizations are not detached, independent, as much as it might seem so. What's going on is that a lot of these organizations, these UFO organizations, have to answer to the boss, which really is the US military, okay? Because they're looking for information, and as you already know, such projects by governments such as Project Blue Book and etc. But there is a sector within the government that studies, or at least trying to go after the UFO phenomena, of course, for security reasons, okay? As you already know, Dr. Stephen Greer talks about this, but not just that. Bob Lazar also mentions this. There's government that within the government, like business within the business, that simply tells you what you can tell people and what you cannot tell people, okay? There are limits. And really, it's what's going on behind Bob Lazar, behind the closed doors, behind his story, that simply they're not allowing this information to leak into the public. That's why he's under pressure and living in fear, basically, because he knows what he knows about those Zeta Reticulans, especially telling that they left. Because people are going to ask, if they found those 9 UFOs, where are the aliens, right? Where are the extraterrestrials? So what happens there is he has to tell them that they did come with a spaceship, because people are going to wonder about. But what really happened, on his website, he mentioned that they left. And that's the cause for concern. But I know why he said that, to protect Zeta Reticulans, but not just that, to protect himself, okay? Because he could easily change the sentence and reverse it and said that extraterrestrial is still here on Earth. And then will be a problem, as you already know from Area 51, right? So now, these orbs are very interesting to me. Again, like I said, the reason I bring the Atlo Pass into this situation, because there was some radiation present at that moment, and something, like I said, was a force of some sort equivalent to a car crash. So you must think, if those orbs are dangerous and capable of doing something like that, then potentially they could be a threat. However, we don't know how many people go missing. This cattle mutilation, as you can see, and I spoke to some of these alien abductees, matter of fact, that tell me simply, buddy, you don't want to meet this extraterrestrial. They're not really nice as you think, okay? And I can understand that, because looks like they're really not joking about it. So he really doesn't wish me to meet any of these extraterrestrials, from speaking from his experience. So are they bad is the question. And as you know, God created this universe in 2 ways, right? One in positive way, one in negative way. There's a hell, there's a heaven. So the question is, are these extraterrestrials bad or good? We don't know. And we shouldn't be sending signals into space to begin with, like Stephen Hawking said. Now, he doesn't say anything without any calculation. So if this man says something, we need to listen. However, what we might not understand is that we might have this program inside our DNA to send signals into space once we reach certain maturity in our technology, and send signals into space when we're capable of doing that. And we should not do that, as a matter of fact. But we didn't listen what Stephen Hawking advised us. By the way, we're born on the same date. These signals, if they reach our creators, we don't know what's their purpose behind this whole picture, okay? And could they be sending us to other planets just to find out if we can survive? And then if we do, we send them signals back into space and let them know that everything is fine. And that's the reason why we were created in the image of our creators. Because if we survive, of course, they can survive too, right? And as you already can see, our creators haven't returned yet. And that's the reason, perhaps, behind this chaos that is going on around the globe at the moment, okay? Things are just going haywire. A lot of problems, political problems, a lot of, nuclear weapons. Now, with the supersonic weapons, they're 20 times faster than the speed of sound, and very difficult to track down. On top of that, with all these weapons being on this planet, how can you actually sleep next to some monstrosity like that? And that's how God created us, see? Now, I did talk about God and him bringing God into this video today, but let's talk about it a little bit, because the way God operates is not necessarily the picture we would like to see. You see what I mean? We're pretty much brought into this world behind this yin-yang symbol theory, because there's a little bit of good in bad, and there's a little bit of bad in good, which is truth. But do we really want that devil part of God's creation is the question. I mean, it's not really helping us to do anything else but making our lives miserable all the time. Now, as I speak about these creators, the signal that we send into space, trying to contact extraterrestrials, and perhaps we are not even aware that this is programmed in our DNA to do such a thing, to reveal where we are, because our purpose, people, was to find habitable planets, and once we do, we're programmed to send them signals back into space once we reach a maturity in our technology that we can do it with, and we already have done it. Once they get this signal, once they return here, And what is going to happen is the question. Do they have any purpose for us? They might not have any purpose for us because we're simply polluting the environment. Now, you might think this theory is, oh my God, it's out of this world. How can that even be? People, hell on earth is happening right now as we speak. You don't understand what's going on in slaughterhouses. I'm sure you do. But I'm just saying, what's going on right now at this moment around the planet and virus issue right now. It's just incredible of what is going on here on earth that we just don't see because it's all happening behind the closed doors as far as this animal torture is concerned. And things like that need to change. They have to become illegal as far as this way of harvesting meat is concerned. And I talked about this before. Is Joaquin Phoenix a animal rights superstar? You might want to check that video, okay? Because really it's talking about this clean meat solution, and Bill Gates is behind this, okay? We're talking about Richard Branson, okay? These are powerful people, okay? They shake the foundations, and you will feel them, okay? Because this clean meat solution will be ending up in our store shelves within 2 to 3 years. And what we need to do is to push for this idea even stronger, because that will eliminate some of the problems the way we go about harvesting meat. Okay? The way we harvest meat right now is just brutal, okay? It sounds like it's nice and dandy, but heck no, it's not, man. It's unimaginable what's going on right now inside the slaughterhouses, especially when the camera gets inside. And as you already seen from PETA videos, right? So it's a horrible situation. And the way the meat is being harvested, please people, that's not the way to do it, and it's never gonna be the right way for those who are animal lovers. Okay, just not gonna happen. So we need to find a better solution. That's why I made this video. Is Joaquin Phoenix a animal rights superstar? Simply, I don't care what people say about him. If there's anything they want to say, fine, no big deal. But you know what? He took the Joker fame, which made him superstar, and he took it and gave it to the animal rights. And he used that, okay, to stand up against animal cruelty. So you have to understand where this man is coming from. At least give him some heckin' credit here, okay? So I will give him a credit because for what he's done. So that's my point here, and I'm not sure where this heat is coming from about Joaquin Phoenix. He's just a movie star, but stepping out of the Joker and taking that fame and gearing it towards, instead of some other activity, he actually put it right into this animal rights movement, and that's the animal equality movement. And that's, to me, that's money well spent, if anything, because animals they're not gonna suffer, as far as I'm alive. So I hope some of you agree with that. I really don't see much support as far as Joaquin Phoenix animal rights video that I made, but if you are someone who wants to push this clean meat idea, which is really produced in the lab instead, without any nerves attached, okay? There's no suffering involved, okay? If Bill Gates is going to spend money on something, he's gonna do it not because he's got the money to do it with, but because it's something that will benefit everyone, okay? Obviously, not everybody is going to turn into a vegetarian overnight, okay? It's just impossible. It's never gonna happen. Do try. I do encourage you. I try myself to eat veggies as much as possible. I crave veggies, as a matter of fact. And cutting down on meat, it's actually good for you, okay? So please consider that this Joaquin Phoenix animal rights superstar video. Please look into that and support that video, because really it's not about... Don't worry about me, okay? Don't worry about the guy behind the glasses. Think about what I'm saying there, okay? And what Bill Gates and Richard Branson are doing about this Memphis Meats company in States, okay? Because they're the one who gonna make this clean meat a reality, okay? And I push for that. So if you want to do so, then, support that video, because that's the video. It's all about that. And again, what are we doing with that? Simply, there will be not enough people to feed with meat by 2050, because it's going to reach already 9 billion people. And things have to change. Again, growing meat the way we do it now, through farming, it's really tough on environment, okay? There's a lot of water that goes into feeding these animals. And also a lot of land is also in question here. And the green gases that are happening during farming, okay, as far as cattle is concerned. So you're using 5.5 times less water and maybe 100 times less land, of course, if you grow meat in the lab. So of course this is an ideal solution, and Bill Gates ain't gonna touch it if it ain't a good idea, okay? So he did, and billionaires don't make stupid decisions. That's why they're billionaires in the first place. So Richard Branson as well, the same thing, okay? These are powerful people you don't want to play with, and they are the one who really are making changes. And we're going to feel that eventually, very soon. Like I said, that meat will be on store shelves. Lab-grown meat, clean meat will be in store shelves in 2 to 3 years. That's the goal. And it's a good idea. Like I said, it will eliminate the way we harvest meat currently, which is just, it shouldn't even be legal anymore. Hopefully this will change, which really needs to change. And all these meat companies, they need to rethink the way they're going about doing things. And again, free energy, as far as Dr. Stephen Greer is concerned, I'm very glad that he pushes for that. Hopefully it will change some things again, but like he says, there's few people on top of the chain that really control this whole situation, and perhaps they don't want to come off it. And therefore, really it's up to us, to the public, because free energy generators already exist. There's some from India, there's some from England, and there's some from Russia. And this kind of generators have no strings attached, and they work like a jet machine, like a helicopter machine. I mean, a very strong power out of just sitting there by itself without any electricity cords or anything attached to it. So you can imagine this is a great solution. How will this all play out is still a question, because you cannot completely rely on these generators. If you have one at home, in case it dies off, right, you'll be in trouble during the winter. So if you really think about this whole situation with free energy, you really need to calculate everything out and make sure that everything will work. Obviously not everybody in the town will have their own free generator at home, but it's a good solution maybe to have one on the side to run your basic needs. But anything that depends on something that such as your furnace or whatever, you might want to connect that, still be connected to the grid. But perhaps this generator that runs the city will be a free energy generator as well. So if really things work the way they do, which is plain magic in some ways. Anyways, the orbs. Now, orbs, like I said, they're very strange phenomena. I mean, you can argue with me as much as you want. I just don't understand them. To me, they're a little bit strange. Yes, they could be angels, they could be whatnot. I personally think they could be some sort of radioactive things. Perhaps they don't want to do any harm to us, but since they were present perhaps during this incident in Diatlo Pass in 1961, you have to understand that these things could be somewhat dangerous to us. Not that we know of any other accidents perhaps that happened with direct accidents that people have been witness to, but there is a footage that connects my story of Diatlo Pass together and makes it that much decoded, because I really think the orbs are behind what happened. And it wasn't nice what happened, really. It was the first human mutilation as far as I'm concerned, which didn't involve cattle this time. Why would the Dublana be missing a tongue and eyes? Come on, this happens only in cattle mutilation. Now, if you cannot connect the dots and you don't want to connect the dots because you're stubborn, then that's okay. But let me explain to you something as far as this whole situation goes. This farmer in States is talking about this situation, and really they were talking about documentary. They were doing documentary on cattle mutilation. And this farmer is talking about how he's seen these orbs being present during this cattle mutilation, or being present at that time when this has happened. I'm not saying he directly saw what happened, but there is a link in that video you might want to check, okay, and to understand why I'm talking what I'm talking. And again, nothing happens here at Block Tornado without some kind of facts. If I don't have the facts, then there's no point, okay? You must have the facts to talk from. And again, if it wasn't for this footage from this farmer talking about these orbs during the cattle mutilation, Not that he's, like I said, he didn't see it happen, but the orbs were present during the around that time. So, you know, you gotta start assuming that a lot of people are saying actually that, you know, just extraterrestrial work. What else could it be, you know? So, you know, those orbs being present during the Diatlo Pass story and during the cattle mutilation around the time, you know, you have to connect the dots together. So now that's the reason why I made this video, because now we have to question if those orbs are evil or not. You know, that is the really thing. I'm not saying they're evil in any way, but if they're doing what they're doing with the cattle mutilation, then, you know, you do have to be concerned just a little bit about. So, and that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. But come back to see what's going on. Put a comment down below, see what you think about orbs. Maybe you have some different kind of vision about this orb, different explanation. Check out my video about orbs and are we prisoners of freedom. Okay, you might want to check that out. Orbs and are we prisoners of freedom? Because I strongly believe that this Illuminati symbol on $1 American bill, look, I mentioned Illuminati, now you're running away because this is an old story, but look, Illuminati means illuminating light. I know that documentaries on Illuminati talk about totally different things, but you have to remember who brought the sign to Thomas Jefferson, okay? Now, simply, this symbol was delivered to Thomas Jefferson, and, you know, this is how this symbol came about, okay? It was some sort of dark magic at play. A man with a cape and a casket, and inside this casket or whatnot, it was this symbol that perhaps Thomas Jefferson later on made it happen and put it on $1 American bill. But that's the real story behind it. There's a dark magic, dark powers behind the American dollar bill that we still don't understand. And yes, Freemasons, Illuminati, all of those things are behind this magic, and especially, you know, Roerich, right? So now Nicholas Roerich supposedly was behind this symbol as well, but it's really a mysterious thing about, you know, the Stone of Destiny or whatnot, and where it might be in the cornerstone, right? The cornerstone, as you know, those 3 dots, the symbol of Roerich, was basically something of what Dr. Stephen Greer has on the Cyrus symbol, okay? So it does tie into that, just so you know. However, so this phenomena with orbs, again, you know, take it as you will, but that's all I want to talk about today, and is really something up for debate that we still don't understand what's going on here. It's really turning our reality upside down. It makes no sense. Everything we know is wrong. It's making our reality look like a sci-fi movie, okay? And that's the only reason why I want to talk about this. Or it just could simply be nothing on the end of the day. Some kind of earth phenomena. Who knows? But you know what? It's good to keep up different aspects, different angles, different views on this situation. It's just something alien to us, if you know what I mean. And they're not making any contact, talking to us straight out. I mean, Stephen Greer is trying to get close to these things, but really it's just simply about flashing lights and laser pointers, and I don't think any direct communication has been made, although they have some photographs of some aliens, interdimensional beings perhaps, and we'll still have to see the close encounter of the 5th kind. That's the latest from Stephen Greer, and to see what really is going on, okay? If there's any juice in there as far as close encounters of a 5th kind is concerned, okay? Anyways, thank you very much for staying all the way here. Please give it a thumbs up or subscribe here at the bottom, okay? It's very important that you subscribe, because this channel is all about hunting for the truth, nothing more. You have nothing to lose, it's free, okay? But we're getting some interesting ideas here. We're trying to connect the dots here at Block Tornado. Anything that makes sense. Nothing is put into this channel if it doesn't make any sense at all. Every video that I have has some sort of point to it, okay? And if it's happening in the beginning or in the middle of the video, it will happen sometime during the video, but I can't tell you when, but there is a point in there. And again, you might want to check out the video before this, which is called How to Hunt Down TR3B. How to identify perhaps that some of this footage as far as TR3Bs are concerned where are they happening is the whole idea behind it. So that way you'll see some pattern, you'll notice a pattern. So once you understand what I was talking about, giving away this clue, you could easily connect the dots, and once you see a footage about TR3B, you'll notice that there's something in every footage that pops out that connects the dots, and once you see that, you understand that footage could be authentic and why. Again, go check it out. So that's pretty much all, and like I always say, but before we go, please protect yourself from coronavirus. It's not a joke anymore. It's spreading super fast on a global level, and as you already know, this coronavirus is deadly, and if you don't protect yourself well, there will be problems, okay? And like I said, stay away from large crowds. You'll be helping out people that don't have a strong immune system by doing that, okay? For now, if you can get a hold of respiratory mask, that will be great, if you can still find one. And like I said, if not, wear a scarf if you can. If you really need to go out, of course you will have to go out, but if there are any other solutions, please take the tips from what's going on the news media. And basically they have doctors and all kinds of people that talk about this coronavirus on daily basis and keeping you up to date on what's going on. So take their advice, okay, to understand best what you can do for yourself and how to prevent this virus from spreading, okay? On the end, this virus just sits there, it's owning its own business. It doesn't want to have nothing to do with us, but it's us who are spreading it around, and that's the key thing you need to understand what's going on. So please sanitize your hands, clean your hands, keep them away from your mouth and your nose, and things could go well if we're able to last long enough to get the cure. Hopefully it will happen fast, but it seems like it might take a couple of years to actually get the vaccine. So in the meantime, all we can do is pray for the people who have this coronavirus and keep them in our hearts, okay? And hopefully that they will beat this coronavirus, because some people have strong immune system, it doesn't affect them. So all the best to those. But those who are affected and suffer from this, keep your immune system as high as possible in check, okay? Because that's what might be able to beat coronavirus at the moment. And God bless, okay? And keep your eyes in the sky in case you see a UFO. You never know. Fly by. Cheers.